Hello, welcome to the Cosmic Tea with me, Kier Grace, your host, your friend, whatever other label we want to put on it, right? Hi. It's been a while since I've chatted with you, and I did a poll on my IG stories earlier, which if you don't watch my IG stories, I'm going to tell you right now that you're missing out. And I just wanted to put that out there. So go start watching my IG stories because it really feels like this close little inner circle, and we DM, and I just love it. It's my favorite place to meet you, to talk, to chat, to share my work, to sell. Speaking of which, I'm teaching how to sell your story inside of Cosmic Biz Membership this month in April. It's our first official month of starting our business classes. So currently in pre-sale, which means it's 50% off. You can hop in, get access to all of my past courses, Starseed Sanctuary, Cosmic Kundalini, every workshop, and so on, as well as everything that I create during your 12 months in the membership, which will be all business topics. And what else? Oh, and a weekly Kundalini class, curated workshops. It's just a great thing. So, does the idea of niching put you in freeze mode? I say freeze mode because as someone who's highly sensitive and neurodivergent, I'm much more likely to freeze, and that comes from hitting overwhelm so fast, and it's just this like disassociation. I can't move forward, and that's a struggle in entrepreneurship. You know, when you are sensitive, when you're creative, when you're multi-passionate, and you're looking up, how do I start an online business? You're immediately told to just pick something, and that you need to pick something in order to sell. Now, there's some truth to the idea that we have to know who we're talking to in order to sell something. But the idea that you just pick a niche and that's it is totally not even real. I mean, you don't have to. So let me think. Okay, so a lot of our attachments to what a niche is what causes us to freeze. We're assuming that in order to succeed, we have to niche, and our attachment to that is what's causing the overwhelm. Because if we were just talking in a session, let's say, and I was learning about you, your story, what your passions are, what your relationship with Instagram is, we would come up with a first step of selling something, whether it's a freebie or creating a workshop or starting to sell your one-on-one readings or your Reiki. We would go through all the stuff. I like to put everything on the table, just throw it up on the table in our first session and figure out, well, let's pick something to sell. Because I feel like if you're going into it and you don't even know what you're going to sell, it's going to be really confusing. But if we start backwards and we look at, well, the end result is we want a client, right? Or we want people in this workshop. Then we can work backwards and think of, okay, well, what modalities am I teaching in this workshop? Or what results am I offering in this one-on-one? And work backwards from like, well, who can be helped by this? What specific results can I get them? And from there, have this idea of a quote-unquote niche. Do you get what I'm saying? So, for example, my first ever workshop was Meet Your Galactic Family, my first ever online workshop. I've been teaching yoga programs, courses, workshops for 15 years now, but not online, just a few years here online now. But anyway, I came onto the scene knowing that I was going to teach Kundalini in some capacity because it's just my baseline for everything. And I just wanted to have fun. I wanted to throw spaghetti at the wall. And that's where I think a lot of creatives get stuck. A lot of my clients get stuck because you think you have to niche before you just throw spaghetti at the wall. And I love that saying because it's like you just throw a bunch of shit on there and see what sticks. I mean, really, that's something that's not talked about enough when you're starting online business. Even someone like me who, before coming online, yes, I had an established expertise. I've had clients, I've done a lot. It was still overwhelming to come online and think, oh my God, I have to figure out how to write this in an Instagram bio so people resonate with it and follow me. What? It felt super overwhelming. So if you're feeling like that, I feel you. And it can be really difficult, I imagine, if you've never taught anything before and maybe you are new. And, I actually love teaching people who are new to selling. And right now, the two, niches we could say, right, I'm working with are fellow highly sensitive, neurodivergent, multi-passionate, creative, spiritual women who either do have an in-person based service kind of hustle going on and want to put it online, or at least do hybrid so you can scale your time more, or you've never sold and you're like, well, how do I start? How do I just start? And again, if we go and we Google how to start, it brings us to, well, pick something. And immediately we're just like, well, how do I pick something? And who am I talking to? And there's a few reasons why that feels like that. One is you don't have to pick one thing, but there is truth in knowing who you're speaking to. So rewinding, I like to just start with what do you like to talk about? What do you teach? What are your stories? Let's say you're a Reiki practitioner. Tell me your experience with Reiki. What has it helped you with? How do you use it in your daily life? Okay? Because we're talking to versions of ourselves. I'm going to say that again. You are going to be speaking to versions of yourself and calling in mirroring aspects of yourself. And I often look at it like that when I'm showing up and I'm choosing to teach, let's say, a workshop on boundaries. If I'm going to teach about boundaries, okay, great. Somewhere to start. Now, what modalities do I want to use to teach about boundaries? Well, I love using Kundalini yoga, so I'm going to implement Kundalini yoga. And then let's see, who am I helping create boundaries? Well, I'm going to be broad here because this was one of my free workshops, so I wanted to be broad. And I wanted to help women, definitely sensitive women who put themselves last a lot of the times. And let me think, how have I experienced lack of boundaries? Well, in relationships where I got walked all over, both in professional and intimate. Okay, I'm sure other women in my community can relate to that. So I'm going to speak to them. I'm going to talk to them about my experience with not having boundaries, then my experience with having boundaries. How did Kundalini help me develop confidence to take action on boundaries? And then how did that result in my life improving? And from that story alone, we can come to a niche, basically, for what the offer is. And in the world of personal branding that we're getting into, we're getting into a time where personal branding is it. It's the secret sauce. It's what we want. It's where we want to put our money. We want to invest in people that we would call friends, teachers, mentors. We want to connect and feel understood. And I think it's an illusion that you have to niche down and then only talk to those people. I mean, it's completely false. And even if you're here and you've been here for a while, you will know that I came on and I was talking about aliens and starseeds a lot. And I guess, yeah, that's pretty niche, but it's not because I sat down and was like, oh, I need a niche. It was, well, what do I feel like talking about? And first I created the workshop. All right, so I'm coming back to that. Meet your galactic family. So I was like, okay, I want to do this workshop. I want to guide other people to meet their alien guides because I think it's really cool. Great. So how am I going to do that? Well, Kundalini meditation and a really cool channeled meditation. Now, who would want to do this? I'm like, okay, well, people who resonate with the word starseed. And I'm like, okay, well, who resonates with the word starseed? Sensitive people, spiritually inclined people. Maybe women who have felt out of place and are starting to explore spirituality and want to do it in a fun way. So really, this is about brainstorming and exploring who you are and how you share things. And it can really help to talk to someone about that and really dig into your brain, just who you are, and pull out just one thing to start with. It's really one of my favorite things to do with clients. Just yesterday I had a freaking cool ass woman. It was our first session together. It was a business session, and basically she felt overwhelmed around what to offer in her business. Like, what is her business gonna be? Who is she talking to? And so we put it all on the table and came up with a freebie that's going to be linked in, and then we're going to branch off into a workshop based on that freebie. And from there, we have our current niche in a way. But again, not really, because she's the niche. Just like you're the niche. Just like I'm the niche. You know that if you're here, I'm somehow going to communicate just in the way that I communicate. The emotional layers, the energetics. I'm the common thread in everything that I talk about. And you're the common thread in everything that you teach, share, talk about, and sell. A really fun example is I, a little bit ago, posted something about the Kate Middleton, conspiracy theories. I was like, who else is into this? Oh my God. And a woman who we had never really DM'd before, I looked back and I think she had been linked into one of my free workshops, but we started DMing about the Kate Middleton stuff, and I looked at her profile and I was like, oh, cool. You do Beyond Quantum Healing. I asked her about it. She started talking to me a little bit about where she's at, her journey, her business. And she was just like, I want to join your membership. I like your vibe. I didn't niche down about anything in that conversation, but I've been spending about 4 years building a personal brand where I'm the niche. You get what I'm saying? So you just got to start somewhere. You just got to start throwing spaghetti at the wall. You just got to show up. My Instagram bio has changed 800,000 times, and it literally doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether I'm talking to starseeds about aliens, which I did for a while, and I was able to have a very successful first course launch because of that. And I don't really talk about aliens much anymore, nearly as much as I used to, or in the same fashion at all. I'm not giving PowerPoints on galactic war, which I was doing. Now I'm talking about entrepreneurship and high sensitivity in business. And look, it's fine. right? It's like I'm not attached to this idea of a niche, so I'm more able to move through and into what I just want to talk about. And I think one of the biggest stressors is that we have this idea that in order to be successful, I need to pick a niche. In order to be successful, I need to know exactly who I'm talking to right off the bat. In order to be successful, I have to have the perfect content pillars and create content around that all the time. And if I don't, So what's actually messing with us are all of the attachments involved. And the absolute truth of the matter is this is an experiment. You're not going to just show up and know what the F to talk about or what your audience is going to respond to, what you enjoy teaching. I thought I would love teaching about ETs and galactic war and karma. And I really got bored of it pretty quickly. I did. I was just like, I'm not loving the vibe here. And I pivoted, kind of. I mean, I don't even like saying that, but I shifted. I started talking about Kundalini more and the manifestation. And then I started talking about money blocks and subconscious stuff. And now I'm here talking to you about niches. So really, it's about freeing ourselves from attachment, which I do believe is the key to everything, including business, selling, creativity, freeing ourselves from the mental attachments that are keeping us in a box. Niching is actually here to support us. Just the idea of talk to one person at a time. That's what I do. That's my quote unquote trick, I guess. Talk to one person. I like that better than the idea of niching. So if that helps, think right now, okay, who were you 5 years ago, let's say? What were you struggling with? What were your desires? Where did you dream of yourself being? What obstacles did you overcome using the tools that you want to teach others? Journal on that and then talk to her. And, it is a skill. Like, of course, this is all stuff that we get better at as we practice and we have some guidance and direction around, of course. It's a skill. Knowing how to communicate your story in a way that intrigues people to come into your worlds and cultivates trust in people to believe that you can truly help them. I mean, that's why we're here. It's true that if you're in business, you're a problem solver. You're a healer. Healing is problem solving. It is. People come with an ailment and you offer relief. So it's really, this idea of niching is so much less complicated than we make it out to be. Let's say that you've discovered, somatic healing. Let's say dance. You've discovered how much dance helps you in your relationships and with intimacy. So you could say something like, I struggled with intimacy in my partnership, and it caused me to have anxiety and difficulty opening up in a relationship. Meanwhile, I desired a conscious partnership. This is like off my brain right now, and then start talking about how You discovered this somatic practice and it released a lot of shame, and now you're more able to connect with your partner and you have an incredible sex life. Like, I don't know. But basically, I took you through the walk of we're getting to the end result. We want to get to the 3D desire. That's a kind of another conversation around messaging and sales, which is something, of course, that I'll be teaching this year. But again, niching. It's not that serious. It's not that serious at all. And you know what? I'm going to tell you right now, and people might really disagree with this. Branding's also, it's mildly important, sort of. I don't know. I look at my Instagram, I'm like, is this branded? Okay, I used hot pink. Good enough. All of these things can F us up so much. And the things I wasted my time on in the beginning of this adventure were definitely like color branding, making my website perfect, which it definitely needs help, but I'm working on it. But regardless, niching, Instagram bio, content pillars, whatever, fuck it all. You got to throw spaghetti at the wall. You just got to start somewhere and throw spaghetti at the wall. So you want to put your work out there and start selling it, right? Pick one thing. Just pick something. Pick something. Just focus on one thing at a time. What do you want to sell? What are you most comfortable doing? What sounds fun? Is it angel readings? Okay, great. Angel readings for who? And that's where people get all, they're like, oh no, I can't just, like angel readings for everyone. Sure. I mean, the idea of angel readings used to be niche. Now everyone's doing readings. So in the online space, you are just going to be a little more specific. That's all. That's all niching is. It's just get little layers of specificity. Is that the word? Specificity. You get what I'm saying? So no matter what it is, you're the brand, you're the niche. You get to teach from your perspective. And I think if we really start to look at it more simply, that niching is so fun. Niching is actually how I sell mostly. Now, I know your precious little sensitive brain is going to be like, oh my God, I can't sell without niching. No. Niching and being able to speak to specific people is a skill that you learn, as I said, and you get to play with it. So for example, on my Instagram stories, I will sit and think about where was I 5 years ago on my entrepreneur journey, and how could I have helped myself get to where I am now quicker in a way that works for me with high sensitivity and childhood trauma, all the stuff. And I just journaled on it. I was like, okay, what are her big 3D desires? Like, what would have made her just be like, yes, help me. So I think of the outcomes that she'd love and that I can help her get to. And so on my story, I say, hey, if you are brand new to building an online business and you're highly sensitive and get overwhelmed easily, I can help you take the steps to launch your first program. That's it. That's really actually not that complicated, right? We always overcomplicate it. And I think a lot of it is because there's so much pressure we put on ourselves to do it right. And if we don't do it right, we're going to fail. If we don't say the right thing, we're not going to make sales. If we don't post the right kind of content, we're not going to get followers. And that's all bullshit. It's just totally bullshit. Of course, there's always going to be a way to improve your offer and how you talk about it and the quality of content and growing into being a leader. That's the truth, I believe, of coming onto the internet and committing to being I love the word, personal brand. It just means, hey, it's me, it's Kier, I'm the brand, right? personal brand. It's you, it's your face, it's your work, it's your teachings. And choosing to be a leader, choosing to be a teacher. It's not a small thing. And it's going to take time. That's the truth of it. So if you were to come to me in a session and you were like, okay, I'm passionate about all of these things, I would ask you likely, well, what is exciting you right now? And I would help you simplify something into a first offer and create content around that first offer and who you want in that first offer. Even if it's an $11 workshop, it doesn't matter where we start. We just start somewhere. Some of my clients who don't necessarily have something to sell yet, we start with a freebie, and I start teaching them how to sell a freebie, because the way you sell one thing is how you sell everything. And I think to be able to sell with excitement your freebie the same way you'd sell a high ticket program or a $10 workshop, like you show up because you're passionate and excited about it, not because you're attached to what you can get out of it. And we go from there. And look, we didn't even have to niche. We didn't really have to think about it. What if your niche is just an evolution? Just pick somewhere to start and you don't have to leave it. It doesn't even matter. Even my email list, for example, I have a few thousand on there. I really haven't done much lead gen for it, like all year, to be honest. And a lot of people on there first came on from my Are You a Starseed quiz? You might have even. And I'm able to see where people entered my world. And at that point, I was not talking about business. I wasn't talking about, I don't remember what I was talking about. I wasn't talking about niches, but either way, one of the women whose first purchase ever from me was Meet Your Galactic Family just enrolled in the 12-month business membership. Okay? So that just shows that if you're being you, it doesn't really matter. Like, it doesn't matter, because there's always going to be someone ready to enter your world wherever you're at. So my wish for you is to not limit yourself to thinking that you need to niche. Do you need to pick one thing to sell and create content around? Yes and no. Yes, in the sense, if I have a workshop about aliens and I make zero content about aliens and I never talk about it, then I'm not sure how I would expect someone to enter my world in that capacity. But if I make some content, selling that, talking about topics that people who'd be interested in that offer would be interested in, then I can make all different kinds of content. Even now, I'm making more business content, and I'm also making content that's like anger of fists, kundalini, about my friend breakup. It overlaps. They all serve one another because, again, it's you. It's you. It's your vortex of your world, of your work. Also, you'll start to learn how to communicate with your audience and not really look at people as an audience. Just look at fellow people that you're speaking to, and you'll start to get different questions in the DMs and start to realize, oh, what are people struggling with? That's a truth of business. Like I said earlier, if I'm getting a ton of questions about business and about, manifesting or how to start an email list, which is something I'm so freaking excited to teach, because I love email. I feel passionate about teaching on what I'm being asked on. I'm going to teach about it. So your entrepreneurial journey is lifelong. And I just don't want you to limit yourself. For example, even this podcast, when I decided I'm going to talk more about business, I'm going to sell offers about business, a part of me thought for a second, oh my God, do I need to start a whole new podcast? Do I need to segment my email list? I mean, that might be a good idea. I might get around to that. But again, this isn't life or death, okay? This isn't life or death. None of this is life or death. In my belief system, nothing I do equals failure. It's not possible at all. I'm always learning. I'm always experimenting every step of the way. And so my mind started to go there, and I noticed my nervous system get overwhelmed really quick. And I was like, okay, that's my sign to just fuck it. Who cares? I'm just going to put my business podcast episodes with everything else. And all right, I'll make a different little picture and just call it Cosmic Biz. And I definitely believe that someone could find my guided meditation someday and then see I'm talking about business stuff and join my Kundalini workshop. Who knows? Okay. So my advice to you is to throw spaghetti at the wall. This stuff takes time. You don't need the pressure, okay? You just don't need the added pressure. Everyone's so individual, and there are people out there looking for your specific energy. You're calling in aspects of yourself. So, yeah, I think that's it for now. I hope this helps relieve some of your niche anxiety. And basically, if I were to tell someone in a few sentences how to pick a niche, I would want you to write down topics that you love to talk about, that you would talk about with your friend, that you wish people would ask you about. Write that down. Recently, I did this exercise and I was reflecting, and the truth is, all I want to talk about is business. All I want to talk about is content creation. All I want to talk about is selling and messaging and offer suites and how that relates to energetics. And it's all I want to talk about. And for months, I was having friends ask me about it. And I remember I'd be sitting in groups and be like, I just want someone to ask me about content. I just want someone to ask me about Instagram. It's all I want to talk about. So what do you want to talk about right now? And it doesn't have to be a hell yes right away. Just pick something that you want to talk about. And now imagine you're talking to a client. Just imagine you're talking to a client. Who are they? What are you helping them with? What kind of advice are you offering? Or say it's a friend. Okay, a friend comes to you for a friend therapy session. How are you assisting? How are you helping? Think about people in your life who come to you for advice. What are you giving advice on? What skills do you have? So, yeah, I mean, this is a good place to start. And don't be afraid to just do the thing. Do the thing. It really, 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 if you are following business coaches who are posting a lot of content about what you're doing wrong, what you have to be doing, what you should be doing, if there's content that you're reading that's creating anxiety, can you please mute them, please? Yeah, okay. I was actually scrolling today and I had this thought and I put it on my story earlier. I was like, all right, I think a lot of these business coaches are on high doses of Adderall and stimulants. Seriously. And I've had quite a few different mentors and coaches throughout my life in all capacities and business included. And the online ones, a couple of them I know are on ADHD medication. I'm ADHD and I'm not medicated, and I have absolutely zero, I have nothing against any sort of medication ever, to each their own. I don't judge. And there's something about being coached by someone on fucking stimulants when you're not, okay? There's just no way to keep up with that. And I really think that a lot of the business coaching world, I think they're just all on stimulants or something, because it's just unrealistic, at least for me and my nervous system and high sensitivity, which is why I'm here coaching you, guiding you, helping you put your foot out into the online business space one step at a time. One step at a time, one bite-sized piece at a time. That's obviously why Kundalini Yoga is the baseline of my teachings and my work. Like, it's there to regulate the nervous system, calm the mind, heal all of the crap that keeps us in our loops and our attachments that screw us up. Just like the idea that if we don't pick the perfect niche, we're going to fuck this up and fail. That is a lie. It's not true. It doesn't matter. Just pick something that you want to teach and play with it. And maybe let's do a one-on-one. That's what I'll do for you. I'm going to open up a few one-on-ones in the show notes, and we can figure out a niche to play with for right now. Just look at it like that. Like, you're just picking a topic and a niche to play with. And you can change tomorrow and the next day. And then someday you're going to stumble upon something and you're like, ooh, this feels really exciting. And you're going to run with it. Quick example, I have a client who I actually met her at the gym here locally. And she was a fitness influencer for a while, and she just hated influencing. She wanted to do more of like her own thing. So she started doing personal training. And she actually has I think it was a bachelor's in marketing. She got it a while ago. So she's like, yeah, it's kind of outdated, but whatever. She has those basics, those foundations. And she's doing personal training, and she ended up leaving the gym because her individual sessions were getting so good. So she started doing them in her basement or her own studio type thing, right? And then she said, she's like, this is going great, but I'm bored of talking about it. I'm burnt out from making fitness content. The current clients I have, it's perfect. Word of mouth locally is running the show. I want to talk about marketing. I want to talk about how to market a fitness business. And she asked me, she's like, do I have to switch up my Instagram? Do I have to switch up my email list? What do I do? And I was like, no, because it's your story. That, you get what I'm saying? That's a part of her story. She gets to tell that story and see why she's teaching marketing, why she's excited to teach personal trainers marketing, or whoever. Maybe next year it'll be teaching a different genre of people marketing. Niching is just like genres, like books. Okay. So I know I'm all over the place, but let's consider umbrella, where it's an umbrella term. For instance, yoga, that's an umbrella term. Well, what kind of yoga do you teach? What people like to come to your yoga class, So an umbrella term, spirituality, great. Now what, Okay, you're an intuitive reader, cool. What are your modalities? What do you like helping people with the most? So for me, with my intuitive readings, it took a few years, but online, I started to realize I'm so unbelievably good at pinpointing energetic emotional blocks as inner children, clearing them out, and having my clients see results very quickly in physical reality. I'm really good at that, and I'm going to speak to that. I'm going to speak to people who feel that sticky stick, and I'm going to tell them exactly how I can get them out of it. And again, this takes time. It takes learning. It takes practice. It takes confidence, because the truth is you could have no niche, but if you've got the confidence to back whatever you're talking about, however you're showing up, it doesn't matter. And I actually follow this woman who I think she listens to this podcast. I just find her so fascinating, so cool. She reads tarot, she teaches English, she creates really cool content, she talks about her ADHD. It's all over the place, and it's so good, and it's so cool because it's her. And so to get her, Akashic reading or tarot stuff off the ground, yeah, she's going to start talking about those services more. And I would love to see her talk about what she came from and how she discovered tarot, and start talking to people who were perhaps in that position and want to discover tarot. And again, that's how your story weaves into your business and your niche. I promise you that you do not have to niche to start selling your shit online. Your niche will find you over and over again, and it'll shift and it'll switch, and you'll be in between, and you'll pivot. It is fine. And I think this is actually what fucks people up about the Instagram bio. It's not the Instagram bio that F's us up. It's the idea that we have to be so specific on it that if we're not talking to everyone, no one will follow us. Like, I don't know. I don't even know who follows me for what at this point, because I've talked about so many different things. But the underlying current is that it's me. I'm sassy, and I talk about spiritual shit. Right? That's not very specific. The me part is, but being kind of sassy and talking about spiritual shit isn't specific. But I've made myself the niche. And again, confidence, practice, time, self-love, and sometimes getting guidance. So if you are interested in that guidance, hit me up, DM me, and I will link the Galactic Akashic sessions in the show notes, and we can use that for Cosmic Biz, for figuring out what are you going to sell. Okay, bye.